Well, hello, Florida Southern Moccasins, and welcome to week 3 of esports digital marketing and consumer engagement. So today what we're going to do, or this week what we're going to do, is really delve deeper into where the money is, how the money is earned. And the whole time, since you're all MBA students, or most of you are MBA students, keep in mind how these rather unique aspects of revenue streams that we find in esports might have applicability in other industries and not necessarily entertainment industries. So let's delve right into it. Lots to cover. There we are. Here I am. Okay, so for this week 3 module, hopefully by the end of it, you're going to be able to understand the nature of esports streaming from the perspective of both the platform and the users. And you'll be able to understand the economics behind online streaming. You'll gain insight into specific individual streamers to a degree who have been quite successful, but understand the variety of supplemental content that's available to streamers, and appreciate the importance and variety of the hardware utilized by streamers. I mean, the hardware is ultimately the tools that they're using to stream. The dynamics behind live streaming and consumer engagement, and also consider lifestyle streams to unlock superior monetization models. Because streaming is not just about video games, as we have touched upon with just chatting in Twitch and various Discord channels, which we'll get into. So the topics, we're going to talk about the streamer monetization pyramid. We'll look at microtransactions per bit, omni-channel hubs, the curiosity of chat widgets and portal embedding, and then we will touch upon some of the top male streamers and some of the top female streamers in terms of how successful they have been, why they've been that successful, and what exactly does success mean in this industry. Okay, in terms of the esports ecosystem, we're going to be focusing on the individual players primarily as streamers, because remember, teams, they're comprised of gamers, esports athletes. Those athletes, usually to supplement their team earnings, they are live streamers. And all of that is done on a broadcast platform, which, as we know, is Twitch overwhelmingly, but it's also YouTube, Facebook, and to a degree now brand new, Kick. And I think one or two of you actually used Mixer in the past, which makes you a dinosaur, because Mixer is old, and I can talk about old. Okay, let's get into it. Why did you make the right decision being in this course? Well, I'm going to tell you, okay? Estimated global revenue from video games, books, filmed entertainment, and recorded music. This is back in 2021. Take a look at the far left of your screen, and you will see that video games, as mobile, console, and PC, okay, are roughly knocking on the door of $200 billion. Look at books, look at filmed entertainment, look at recorded music. So you made the right choice, because the global gaming market size last year was valued at $250 billion. This year, it's expected to grow to $281 billion. And in 7 years, it's expected to be $666 billion. Now, that comes out to a compound annual growth rate of 13.1%. I'm suspicious of compound annual growth rate projections, as we're about to see. But the one takeaway in terms of the CAGR here is that it's all going in the upward direction. So the bottom line, that makes the gaming industry roughly 8 times bigger than the movie industry. And you have to realize this, I'm going to pat myself on the back here, because back in the mid-90s, when I was the associate head of Carnegie Mellon Drama, oldest drama school in the country, one of the most famous, if not the most famous, Carnegie Mellon drama clans in New York and in Hollywood. And I went to the faculty and I said, gaming, folks, gaming is going to eat our lunch. And they wanted to hear nothing about it. I mean, they were perfectly happy living in the 19th century. And I just knew that there was no getting around this because I saw what young people were into. And remember, this is the mid 1990s, so we're looking at 2D scrolling games. It's like, Don, do you really think Donkey Kong is going to have some impact on Hamlet? And the answer is absolutely. So continue. Gaming consoles, computers, and mobile devices, let's face it, they have become more advanced and affordable, which means it is easier for people to jump into the gaming world. Now, the takeaway there is it is easier for people in what we have normally perceived to be the third world or the second world to get into gaming. Not only that, but there is in fact the rise of online gaming and esports having created communities and competition among players, which means it's attracting even more people to this pastime because it's basically competition on demand. All right. I mean, you know how, I'm a big baseball guy. Well, tonight at 7:05, the Pirates are going to play the Cubs. All right. That's tonight at 7:05. But if I'm hungry to see top-notch players competing against each other, I just need to click and get onto Twitch or any of the other gaming sites. Now, another indication, though, of how this industry has grown, but also has become crowded, is that the number of games released on Steam, now Steam is an online game distribution site, it has grown massively over the last decade. How massive? Well, 2012, 434 games were released. In 2022, 10,963 games were released. That's 30 games per day. Clarification, those 30 games per day are not from the publishers that we equate with esports, although a few of them are. The fact is there's been a tremendous growth of independent game developers. In fact, there's the Independent Game Developers Association. And that is basically anyone who is able to get an SDK, and it's easy to get a software development kit. That's an SDK. That's what allows you to build a game on a particular platform. Those are, they're out there because the developers of the games, they want you to create it. And then if it starts to make money, then they get their fair share. This is reflective of the movie industry that got rid of its stable of writers and said, look, go home and do it yourself. And you come up with something, pitch it to us. If we like it, we'll pay you to do a treatment. You do the treatment, maybe we make a movie, then you get the money. Okay. So the vast majority of those 11,000 games that were published in 2022 were from independent game developers, all hoping to make it big. Okay, once again, this is 2022, this is first quarter. You can see that Twitch remains the dominant player. Although, if we were to compare, we will see that YouTube gaming and Facebook gaming have made some incremental gains. But still, when we're talking about streaming, and we're talking about the big time, we're really talking about Twitch. Now, let's take a look at esports audience growth globally. And again, I want you to pay attention to the CAGR, right? Here it says that the enthusiast growth from 2017 to 2022 was 15.7%. This is up to 645 million, comprised primarily of occasional viewers, but also a very healthy share of esports enthusiasts. Now, let's take a look at games live streaming audience growth. This is, again, by the way, this was Newzoo. This is Newzoo. So here, they're projecting that next year, there's going to be 920.3 million online streaming audience. Now, that's a 9.2% CAGR. See the big differences? Again, what's to keep in mind is it's all positive. All right. So online gaming, streaming, audience growth continues to grow and grow. And since we're talking globally, I do see these figures growing substantially because of what's happening in Southeast Asia, what's happening in the Middle East, and what's happening in South America. Okay, let's continue. Now, YouTube gaming viewers. Remember I said YouTube was making incremental gains. And that's because take a look at the growth that YouTube gaming has seen from 2018 just as to 2020. I mean, that is a major growth there. And YouTube, as I think we've touched upon, has a few perks that it's able to give its streamers more so than Twitch. But still, if you really want to reach a large audience, it's Twitch. Okay. Now, here's YouTube gaming viewership comparison from May of 23 to June of 23. That's 1 month, right? So in May of 2023, basically 456 million hours watched, okay, with 2.177 million peak viewers, active channels, etc. We can see just in that 1 month, there has been growth, okay? 1.29% growth, peak viewers, 65.84% growth. And what this is telling us is that there's a lot more people that are starting to watch games on YouTube. And as we've already seen, they start to watch it longer, okay? There's something about the talent that's on YouTube gaming that has a lot more stick-to-itiveness among the audience. Okay, now let's get down to individual streamers. Now this is from the 1st of April to the 30th of June, 2023. And this rating is presented by HyperX. HyperX, as you probably know, is a equipment manufacturer. It's known for its keyboards, it's known for its headsets. It's a big sponsor of gaming. The Luxor Hotel in Las Vegas, which is really the HyperX esports facility, etc. So you can see here that based on peak views, Pecora, 269 hours and 50 minutes, Jonathan, 167 hours, 55 minutes. So even if we go down to Canada, I mean, that's 103,000 viewers, which is pretty significant, especially when we start to look at the individual revenue streams that each of these streamers are trying to get. Now, popular social media platforms in the US. Now, this is from the percentage of adults that have used them, and this comes from Pew. And I think this is significant because if we look at adults at writ large, okay, not just gamers, we see that YouTube remains by far a more used social media platform than anything else, followed by Facebook. You know, I've been told by so many young people, that Don, Facebook is so, 20th century and so out there. Well, I still use it, all right? Instagram, not going to be a challenge in what we're talking about with esports. Really, hardly any of these are going to be. But you'll notice how YouTube and Facebook, they do have a perseverance, and they are, in fact, well known. And so I would not slight the possibility of continued esports growth on both YouTube and Facebook, especially if more and more adults start to tune in to esports. And I do think that's going to happen. Okay, now let's go back to Twitch though. Twitch viewership overall from 18 to 20 was a 4% growth. Now, that may not seem like much, okay, but it's still going in the positive direction. And we're also starting from a very large number, okay? I mean, back in 2018, you still had, 2.5 billion hours watched. So that there was 3 billion hours watched in 2020. But again, I want to point out the increase that occurred in the just chatting viewership. And remember, just chatting is precisely what that says. Individuals who want to talk about movies, they want to talk about travel, they want to talk about food, they want to talk about TV shows, they want to talk about, you name it. They want to talk about airplanes, they want to talk about trains. And notice that from 18 to 20, that had a 15% growth. Now, we're also seeing this just chatting dynamic when it comes to things like Reddit when it comes to platforms like Discord. And, that's something which we're going to be analyzing in greater depth. Okay. Now, live streaming viewership growth slows, but remains highly popular. So this is one of the reasons why we've got to be adult about this. Okay. There are ebbs and flows in everything. And you have to remember that by 2021, the pandemic is starting to wane. Okay. And I wouldn't be surprised if there was a lot of screen tiredness, all right? A little bit of, I'm tired of sitting in front of the screen. So 2021 live stream viewership was still above the 2019 baseline. Good. And it has grown substantially over the past 24 months because of the pandemic. And while the growth is still prevalent, it has recently slowed down by perhaps influenced by the lifting of stay-at-home orders. So what did we see in 2021? For the first time in 2 years, the weekly live streaming watch hours decreased, okay? So before we sell our stocks, while the rate of growth in live streaming is beginning to decline, the industry as a whole has increased by an average of 49% in 2021 compared to last year, okay? So this is a way of saying, yes, this is a market for you to consider being in, but realize there are going to be ebbs and flows. And a lot of this is going to be determined, by what? By what new games come out there, okay? What's going to be the next Fortnite? What's going to be the next, massively online battle arena? What's going to be the next RPG? So all of those are factors that you've got to put into the equation of, do we expect live streaming to increase, stay the same, or decrease? Okay. Now, when it comes to watching esports tournaments, this is from 2019, and this is the percentage of internet users who say they've recently watched an esports tournament. So if we're talking an esports tournament, we're talking about something that is sponsored by the game publisher or by a third party working in cahoots in connection with and licensed by the game publisher. And one of the shocking things you're going to see here is, where's the US? Let's see, no, that's the United Arab Emirates. Yes, that's, let's see, that's Romania. Okay. There's Egypt, there's Italia, there's Canada. Whoa, USA, we're down here, 6%. Now, wait a minute. This is saying that in July of 2019, the percentage of internet users who say they've recently watched an esports tournament in the United States was 6%. Now, you know what I smell there? I smell growth. I smell opportunity there, right? Through the rest of this, I see the possibility of tremendous market increase. And look at China, 40%. The one thing that I've worked in China, I worked in Asia many, many years. And the one thing that always got me was there were so many Asian countries that prohibited gambling. All right, no casinos. You go to Korea, there are casinos, but they're for foreigners, right? When I used to go to Singapore, they would have gambling boats anchored outside of the Singapore limits, all right, ocean limits, and there would be shuttle boats to take you from Singapore proper out to the gambling boat because gambling wasn't allowed. And yet, meanwhile, Asians love to gamble. I mean, it's very, very popular there. I mean, it's one of the reasons why Macau, right? You've heard of Macau. It used to be a Portuguese colony, very much akin to Hong Kong. Well, Macau is now the gambling mecca for China. And in fact, Macau has more slot machines than Las Vegas does. So you can see where this should not be surprising that we've got 40% in China and 33% in Vietnam. In fact, if all goes well, in the next 2 weeks, I'm going to Vietnam work with Van Lang University, primarily to establish esports with them. All right, what comes next? Philippines, Indonesia, Thailand, India, worldwide 22%, South Korea, UAE, Middle East, right? Taiwan. Case closed, folks. Okay. Now, this is an interesting chart because it's about how often are they watching esports. In France, 28.8% say less than 1 hour a week, 21.4%, 1 to 2 hours per week. Let's take a look at who's more than 20 hours a week. All right. Germany likes its esports. Japan likes gaming. Okay. Singapore likes gaming. And the US, not bad. 11.6% of those who are watching esports are quite serious about it. Okay. Now, what are the top 10 games of the year? Interestingly enough, this is the entire year of 2020, and it's comprised of Twitch, YouTube gaming, and Facebook gaming. And guess who wins? GTA, right? Grand Theft Auto 5. That accumulates the most hours watched. And if I read correctly, there's a new movie that just came out on GTA, which got, I think, lukewarm reviews. But I'm still gonna have to go see it. But look, LOL remains major, right? Major. And major, in fact, the biggest on Twitch, right? The absolute biggest on Twitch, followed by Valorant, right? Valorant has seen meteoric rise. Apex Legends, Minecraft, and notice Minecraft is really quite popular on YouTube gaming, okay? CSGO is going. Fortnite holding its own. Dota 2, mediocre, but remember, Dota 2 has always been mediocre outside of China. And then you got one of the newer games, Mobile Legends, Bang Bang, that's doing very well on Facebook gaming and doing a lot better on mobile and period. So you can see the statistics here that flesh out what I was just saying. Okay, esports viewership dynamics. By hours watched based on esports charts database. This is 2017 to 2022. And what are we seeing? A slight decline from 2021 to 2022, which we've already looked at, but we're still taking a look at major numbers. Now, the other thing that I find interesting is that mobile had a decrease. And I think mobile had a decrease because in North America, mobile gaming has still not caught on. We are still very much a PC and console society, whereas in Asia, it's catching on a lot more. But again, I would not be concerned too much about this, and I do think it's going to change based on the games that are coming out. Now, mobile esports viewership for April of 2022. Total hours watched by region. What do we see here? Exactly what Don said. Southeast Asia, all right? 58% of the total hours watched on mobile esports is in Southeast Asia. That's why right now, if I were you, I would invest in Bang Bang, okay? Bang Bang is doing very well, all right? Eastern Asia is 31%. Eastern Asia would be considered the more traditional Asian countries, such as Japan, Korea, China, all right? We're seeing South America, Latin America, 7%, North America, only 1.7% of the total hours watched on mobile esports is in North America, okay? Now, what are they watching? Well, they're watching the Mobile Legends Pro League, Indonesia, which says it all, right? Indonesia. This is Mobile League of Legends, okay? Hours watched, peak concurrent viewership was 1 million, okay? Brazil, 1.3 million hours watched, but they're watching Free Fire, all right, which is another very popular mobile game. And then we've got the Pro League down here, which has got 476,000. So total hours watched in April of 2021 was 49 million, a decrease of 65%. But again, don't be concerned. Don't be concerned. Now I want to go back to live streaming and how it's done. Okay, we talked about the fundamental technology that you need, right? You've got to have a microphone, a mic scissor stand, a pop screen. There needs to be the audio interface because you're getting feedback from your people, and their game soundtrack. You need a webcam so they can see you. You've got to have basically a production screen so you can see. But we've got to go into greater depth here, because we got to find out if these are the top 15 Twitch streamers and how you can become one too. And these, of course, are all online do-it-yourselves that are available there. And your aspiration is to become, the Greg FG who, set the record for 2.4 million concurrent viewers. We've got to find out how it's done. So again, the top 10 Twitch gamers, the Shroud, you got Tfue, you have Rubius, and all that. Again, 163, that's a total score out of 200. The index is Twitch followers, the change in followers over 12 months, total Twitch views, and total social following. That basically is the equation that is viewed to calculate the points for each one of these individuals, okay? And you can see where this might be the top 10, here's the top 50. This kind of like is a PGA. When you get those rankings for the PGA, and my God, it's like, it goes down to hundreds of, where you are in the ranking. Highest paid Twitch streamers in 2022, PewDiePie, okay? He's Swedish. He made $40 million as a Twitch streamer in 2022. Ninja made 25 million, okay? Ninja's from the US. Don't cry for Ninja, because Ninja's been doing this a long time. So if you look at his cumulative totals, he'll never have to work again. And who was third was Shroud. Shroud is from Canada. So again, Sweden, USA, Canada. And then Tim the Tatman, 10 million, Nick Merckx, 9 million. You can see here where in 2022, Pokimane got $30 million. That's more than I'm making, folks. And how do they do it? And this is fascinating because remember, I'm a drama professor, right? I'm a drama professor. I've been teaching dramatic writing, dramatic structure, criticism, you name it. And I think what we forget is that these games are essentially stories. In the same way that baseball is a journey about leaving home because you want to get home, and that football is, let's face it, it's war, okay? It's capture the flag. These games are also narratives. And so since there's a narrative there, there's a scenario there, the streamer becomes an actor, becomes the protagonist, confronting the antagonist that happened to be in the game. And so to become a great streamer is you've really got to be a great performer. So when you think about it, there's the call to action. The show asks the audience to interact. The streamer says, I'm going to be playing LOL, I want to play Valorant or Apex, you name it, and I want you to interact. The audience, in turn, responds in the chat. And in doing so, they boost engagement and they increase in attention. Then the show curates and integrates participation into the broadcast. In other words, the protagonist reacts to the audience. And maybe it's to do a certain move again. Maybe it's to explain what happened. Maybe it's to replay a particular move. This results in a form of co-creation and makes for what we call reactive entertainment. Any sort of live entertainment is reactive entertainment. Stand-up comedy is reactive entertainment, okay? And it also results in regenerative listening, where we listen again with new ears. we come back around and it's like, okay, let me see how you do this again. And ultimately, the audience is able to view their impact on the show. And in doing so, it builds community, it creates a connection, and it means it's more likely to share. And one of the things we're going to find is that, YouTube thrives on sharing. Sharing. Amazon lives and dies by sharing. It's like, you like this, you're going to love this. You bought this, you'll buy that. And we will find that on things like Reddit, if you were to post a video, it will get a lot more response. So all of this might sound familiar to some of you who might have taken an English class or studied performing arts, because it's a variation on the famous Hero's Journey by Joseph Campbell. And this is a very condensed version of it. The call to adventure, I'm going to play this game. All the games we're talking about, for the most part, are supernatural in nature. There are threshold guardians, the champions that you play, the heroes that you play. And in the process, you reach a threshold, which is a beginning of transformation. And that's where you have what's called progressive complication, rising action in the form of the challenges and the temptations. A mentor might show up, a helper might show up, or it could be your audience that's doing so, right? And ultimately, it's going to lead to a revelation, which we would call basically a climax, all right? The climactic plot structure. And that's where it's going to result in either you made the right decision, you succeeded, that results in a transformation, which is you're victorious, or you're going to die. You're going to lose the game. You'll fall into the abyss. There will be death. But again, the great thing about video games is there's going to be rebirth. And presuming that you do succeed, this transformation should result in the classic tale of the protagonist who survives in a journey, in that the protagonist becomes transformed. So that the protagonist, the player who begins the game, is now wiser, is now more experienced, is now more knowledgeable, having completed that journey. And then you have atonement, which is really at 1 mint. All right, at 1 mint, atonement means that he or she has sort of reached a level of proficiency that might make them expert or leave them or leave the viewers in awe of them. What's called the gift of the goddess. And so you can see why games are so popular, because they are in fact a condensed version of a narrative, of a story. Okay? All right, good. Okay. Now, what are the top reasons for esports engagement by esports fans? Well, for those who are real serious, it's to learn tips and tricks from the pros, which is really no different than any sport. Those of who are serious about a given sport are interested in it, because they want to know, how does Bryce Harper do it? How does Mike Trout do it? How does this pitcher throw that particular pitch? Why is Kenny Pickett here for the Steelers being hailed as like the next Ravensburger? What the hell was his name? We've already forgotten Roethlisberger. We've already forgotten him. 28% to become a better gamer. Basically, you could say 29 and 28% are the same. But 28%, the reason they love to watch it is to experience the competition aspects. And that's because it's ongoing. I mean, what was there? There was recently a study that said that in a technically 1 hour football game, there's like 15 minutes of actual action that goes on. The rest is, timeouts, out of bounds, et cetera, et cetera. 28% is to pass time out of boredom, and 26% to experience games and gaming in a new and different way. All of these are excellent motivations. And these are excellent motivations that say to us and should confirm for us why esports and gaming isn't going anywhere anytime soon except up. Okay? Now, let's focus more on streamer personalities. You know, I've already deified them as actors, right? That they are, you know, the gaming version of stand-up comics or Tiger Woods and what have you. But let's take a look at some of the individuals. There's Gameplay God. Well, he's got tremendous gaming abilities. There's the Rager. He's got an over-the-top personality. There's the Chat Interactor, who's more interested in chat than playing the game, much more interested in the social. So this has given us what is called the variety streamer. So a variety streamer is someone who broadcasts more than one kind of content. Now, this could refer to more than one game, could be a different genre, or more than one category. Someone creating content for Fortnite and Sims 4 would be a variety streamer in the same way someone is hosting a talk show alongside their Apex Legends broadcast. Now, why would one become a variety streamer? Because the more channels you have, the greater the variety, the greater the opportunity for an increased and entrenched fan base, which means more opportunities to earn money, as we're going to see shortly. Okay? Now, to stream, you've got to have a CPU, all right? A computer processing unit. Oh, Don, we know this. Yeah, well, let's dig some deeper to see how much you know. Now, the CPU of your streaming PC is important because it needs to shoulder the burden of playing a game while processing video and audio. Now, chips with high core counts and clock speeds are preferred. So it is best to grab the best CPU available in your price range. Now, the reason I'm saying this is a lot of the streamers build their own computer. Okay, they build their own. So they go and they buy their own CPU, their own GPU. So this is why it's important. Let's take a look at AMD's new Ryzen processors and Intel's 8th gen chips, because they are great for streaming. And high-end CPUs like the Ryzen 1800X and the Intel Core, you can see it, are perfect for more powerful streaming PCs. So the fact of the matter is, just like in a car, you can get, 4-cylinder, 6-cylinder. On the old days, you can get 8 cylinders. Streamers can ramp up performance even further by opting for a high-end desktop chipset and using a Ryzen Threadripper or Intel Core X series CPU. So you can see that, folks, this is like buying the car of your dreams. Now we've got to talk about RAM, random access memory. With the added load of encoding and streaming high-quality video and audio, you need a decent amount of RAM. 16 gigabytes of high-speed DDR4 memory should be more than enough for most streaming or recording. But some users may opt for 32 gigabytes just to ensure there are no slowdowns. Because the killer of it, or the cancer of all of this, is latency. You don't want latency of any kind. And that's not only for your gaming and the streaming thereof, but of the chat, okay? Because insufficient memory can cause frame rate drops when encoding video, thus ruining your stream quality, okay? Now, let's talk about a GPU, a graphic processing unit. And, and again, you guys are going to become CXOs of something, right? You need to know all this because you're going to have people coming to you telling you why this CPU is better than the other one, why I need more RAM, why I don't have enough more RAM, I want this GPU, etc. So again, this is sort of like the, HTML, XML, RFD, SQL Server, etc. Know the language. GPUs. If you're not going to be recording any graphically intensive titles, you may be able to get away with using integrated graphics. But most streamers will have a dedicated graphics card. High-end graphics cards like the NVIDIA GeForce GTX 1080 will let you play and stream flawlessly, even when using hardware encoding. Now, I think I've talked about encoding because you got to have encoding first before you transcode. But I'm pretty sure I talked about that. If not, I'm going to. Now, while both AMD and NVIDIA graphics cards can work well in streaming PCs, NVIDIA includes the extra option of shadow play. What is shadow play? That allows players to stream or save their gameplay using GPU power. Okay? That's important when you're putting together reels, all right? A reel to show how good you are as a gamer. Now let's talk about storage. The most critical storage component in a gaming PC that's used for YouTube or Twitch is a solid-state drive. Now, running your operating system, games, and streaming recording software on an SSD means you won't have to deal with long loading screens and startup times when streaming live. And your encoding software will run as smoothly as possible. You will need an SSD large enough for your games, operating system, and any recording software installed, as well as a fast mechanical hard drive for storing recordings. Now, a high-speed hard disk drive is also important for recording gameplay because its very low read or write speeds can cause slowdowns and affect quality. And again, this storage is important when you're going to put together reels when, in fact, YouTube, one of the benefits of gaming on YouTube is storage. Twitch storage depends upon whether you're affiliate or a partner, okay? Microphone. Folks, you're on radio. There's no getting around it. You're going to be a streamer, you're on radio. So a good quality microphone is critical, as bad audio quality ruins it, right? Now, USB microphones are recommended for most streaming and recording applications. Microphones with XLR interfaces are recommended for superior quality. Now, a USB microphone has the analog to digital converter built into it, so that's good. Many streamers or YouTubers use desk microphones due to their stability and improved quality over headset-attached mics. That's one of the reasons why you will see what I showed you earlier in the setup, that you had the scissor microphone with the pop screen on it, okay? Webcam. Ooh, if you're planning on streaming video of yourself, you've got to have a webcam built into your budget. Now, depending on the encoding quality of your stream or recording, you might need a high-definition webcam to provide good picture-in-picture quality. The more expensive webcams feature onboard video encoding, which will not place any extra strain on your processor. So in other words, you could have your encoding done by the webcam rather than by your processor. Now, we got to talk about capture cards. Streaming PC with a capture card. If you're willing to go all out on the best streaming setup possible, you can set up a standalone streaming PC and connect to it using a capture card. Now, using a capture card splits the load of running the game and encoding it onto a primary and streaming PC, respectively. Now, a dedicated streaming PC will need a capture card to receive video input from the gaming PC, in addition to a decent quad-core processor to encode and stream the video. Many full-time streamers use this approach to maximize performance on both systems and to reduce slowdowns. But here's the rub. It is relatively expensive compared to using a single PC for both applications. I can guarantee you that all the top streamers that we looked at in terms of money earned, they've spent the money and they've got streaming PC with capture cards and probably a streaming PC distinct from a gaming PC, okay? Now, let's take a look at the HD60 Pro, because this boasts instant game view, which is powering your stream with superior low latency technology. It claims to deliver an unbeatable broadcasting experience that comes with absolute real-time satisfaction. Look, if you're live on Twitch or YouTube in a flash, it's never felt more natural. And so this is also an additional technology that they have. Now, whether you aspire to be a seasoned Twitch streamer or just starting a video log, right, a vlog, a capture card allows one to make content with ease. In other words, you don't need a professional video producer. How is this done? Most people focus on a 1080p target resolution of at least 30 frames per second with any potential capture card purchase. That's sort of like the minimum for a capture card. 60 frames per second is great, only if your PC can handle the extra load. But if you're just starting out, play it safe, you can go with the 30 frames per second. There are good 4K capture cards out there, but they're also expensive. And the storage needs can be harsh. Plus, the bandwidth requirements often mean 4K is not worth the hassle for streamers. What are the best capture cards for streaming on Twitch? The Elgato Game Capture HD60, there's AverMedia, and there's Halpedge there. Okay, this is, at this point, you're like, oh my God, I thought Don said I didn't need to be a geek in this class. I thought we were going to talk about, I'm talking about all the things you're going to have to decide to invest in, whether it's you or whether it's someone working for you. Now let's talk about money. Content distribution for game publishers. There are three kinds of money that they earn. That way it comes in. There's earned media, there's paid media, and there's owned media. Okay? The earned media is right there. It's sharing, mentions, shares, reposts, reviews. Okay? Paid media, you got it. Pay-per-click, paid influencers, social media apps, display ads, paid content promotion. Owned media, that's what you own, proprietary. Website, mobile site, blog, social media channels. Now, when we get to the hue portion of the Venn diagram, it becomes even more interesting. Ideally, right here, we have leverage, the ability to leverage owned, earned, and paid media into a comprehensive marketing strategy. All right? Remember that comprehensive marketing strategy that we talked about? This is where you want to be. Okay? Now, let's dive more deeply. Okay? Why did I throw this in here? Oh, these are, oh yeah, China, good old China. 10 active live streaming platform, okay? Gameplay focused, DouYu TV, which we talked about earlier, HuYu TV, Longzhu TV, Panda TV, they're both PC and mobility, okay? Performance focused, you can see here. So China's got a lot going for it in terms of live streaming platforms. All right, we got that out of the way. Where's the money? Ninja sub. This is the revenue that Ninja makes from subscriptions. Okay, we're going to go into subscriptions and all that, but you know, let's look at the top. Let's look at the unrealistic, and that's Ninja. 121,000 subs times $3.50 a month means he's cashing in $423,500 per month. Okay, you can get off the floor now. You can start breathing. Yes, this is per month. This is astounding. And this is just from subscriptions. Okay? And you can see here, this is for 1 week, the Twitch top channels by hours watched. You can just look there and figure out how much money is being generated. And esports is great, as is most digital media, because of rankings. Since all this data is captured, right? Since none of it is lost, the rankings become really significant. For example, scoring here, like these are particular esports teams. we've analyzed the top 50 highest earning esports teams of 2020 to determine which team comes out on top when scored on a number of factors. What are those factors? Well, here are the factors. Money makers. That was a combined score of highest earning teams of 2020 and the highest earning teams overall. So that was a combination figure. The other variable was the hardest working. What was the number of official tournaments that the teams won? Okay, not the number of tournaments entered and lost, but the number of where they've entered and won. The third criteria was social media influence. The highest number of followers and subscribers combined on the official team Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter profiles. Now, they might have expanded in recent years in terms of the social influence platforms, but at least for 2020, this was the case. And the fourth criteria was Google search volume. The team that has had the highest number of Google searches worldwide. And so obviously, when we talk about a business plan, well, this sort of ranking would give you some idea as to the stick-to-itiveness, the value, the security of these particular teams, okay? And as we can, if we were to take a look at like what FaZe Clan's going through now, we can see how quickly things can change, but that's for another lesson. Okay, now let's look at the sample revenue breakdown for top live streamers and the difference between the top game streamers versus the top lifestyle streamers. There are differences, and some of them are pretty significant. Let's focus on game streamers first. Donations comprise 12% of the revenue. Advertising, 20% of the revenue, but subscriptions are 68% of revenue. As a theater person, I find this fascinating because theater is in a crisis in this country. Everything about theater is down. Numbers are down, box office is down, new show openings are down. But on the regional theater circuit, the most troubling thing is that subscriptions are down. And again, when you think about it, a subscription is, in theater, we're going to do 6 shows throughout the season for these concise dates. So you've got to come to one of those. Whereas when you subscribe to a gamer, all you got to do is click. I mean, that particular individual hopefully has a stream, a schedule listed and all that, but odds are pretty good that you're subscribing maybe to more than one, so that there's always something for you to watch. Now, if we take a look at top lifestyle streamers and envision that these are the people who are involved in just chatting, only 5% of their earnings come from advertisements. 20% come from new sources, which what I'm going to say there, it's probably product placement. 25% from subscriptions, a significant downward figure from Top Gaming, but 50% of lifestyle streamers come from donations, okay? Significant. Now, attitude towards brand involvement in esports, okay? Now, by this we mean corporations, all right? I mean, to what degree in the United States do we have a positive attitude towards big name corporations getting involved in esports? Well, 58% have a positive view of it, and 37% are neutral. Only 5% are negative about it. In other words, I hate to tell you, those 5% can be ignored. I mean, when you've got that percentage that has essentially either a neutral or positive involvement towards corporate involvement in esports, and you're going to become, let's say, a chief marketing officer, you definitely something you want to look at. You want to look at the esports industry. In the UK, slightly less in terms of positive, 43% neutral. France, the same. Germany, very similar. So this is one of the reasons why we're seeing corporate involvement in esports continuing to grow and grow. Okay, how much do streamers really make? Twitch sees more than 15 million daily active users and is predicted to have more than 600 million audience members by 2025. Now, as of February of 2023, Ninja, all right, who Richard Tyler Blevins, had nearly 18.5 million followers on Twitch. So Ninja was among the first top-ranked players to stream the newly released Fortnite Battle Royale in 2017 and held a record number of concurrent viewers until Greg FG. Now, 667,000 people watched him play. As I said, Greg FG beat that later. So according to Play Today, Ninja is one of the wealthiest Twitch streamers with a net worth of 25 to 35 million. Trust me, that's conservative. I cut that off, sorry. Okay. Now, its estimates for 2023 show the top 10 streamers on Twitch may collectively earn more than $35 million by turning the relatively solo art of gaming into social events. However, let's be blunt here, folks. Making money on a streaming platform is hard, especially if you're just getting started. So let's talk turkey. How much do streamers make and where does it come from? The top 23 Twitch influencer streamer Summit1G streams about 35 hours weekly and broadcasts an average of 6 days a week. Now, he's a competitive Counter-Strike player, and many of the top Twitch streamers are current or former professional esports players. Again, you've really got to have like a dual existence if you're going to be on a team. Now, Twitch, give them credit, they don't release information about how much money is earned. But unfortunately, in 2021, there was a data breach. So we were able to look at the earnings of the then top 25 streamers, August 19 through October 21. Topping the list was Critical Role, who earned 9.6 million, followed by XQCOW earning 8.4 million. So let's aggregate. Based on the data in the breach, the top 5 streamers on Twitch are reported to have made at least 5 million each during that same time frame. So each streamer in the top 25 earned 2 million or more during that same period. You want to reach that. However, let's be more realistic. Successful Twitch streamers, okay? On average, they make $3,000 to $5,000 per month from subscriptions. Smaller streamers, $50 to $1,500 a month. It all depends on their subscriber base. Now, although subscriptions are usually a streamer's primary source of income, they also make money through, remember, Twitch bits, the in-platform currency that's worth a penny a bit. I love to say it. The only place nowadays where there's like penny candy is on Twitch bits or Facebook stars. And bits are used as tips that the viewers can send to streamers to show appreciation. So in 2021, the top 100 streamers on Twitch made at least $32,850 a month via bits, subscriptions, and ad revenue combined, while the top 1,000 are reported to have earned at least $7,000 a month. Streamers in the top 10,000 received an average of $904 per month in 2021. I view this sort of like, my daughter is she works for Coldwell Banker Real Estate. She's 36 years old. She's my pride and joy, 2 kids, kicking butt. She's a senior executive. But you know what her real love is? She loves to make felt flowers. And so she has her own account on Etsy. And so Etsy generates for her in a year anywhere from $5,000, $6,000, $7,000. Okay? It's like, pocket money. And so when you take a look at the top 10,000 streamers averaging $900 per month, That's nothing to sneeze at. It's probably not enough to live on, but as part of incremental earnings overall, you're able to do something you love and still make money at it. So let's face it, although the larger streamers may earn additional money through sponsorships, affiliate marketing, or merchandise, most streamers don't have enough followers to make these viable revenue options. So now let's get to the sadder information. 72.8% of smaller streamers don't earn money on Twitch. Now, that was according to a poll of 276 Twitch streamers, right? Only 15.2% of respondents made between $1 and $25 a month. However, there are multiple ways to earn money on Twitch, but the smaller streamers earn the most through bits, subscriptions, and direct donations through PayPal. Okay? That same poll showed that 20.7% of streamers who earned money did so through subscriptions. 8.7% made money from direct donations. And remember, in that chat that's going alongside there, I can donate money anytime I want. Other earning methods, we mentioned Twitch bits, sponsorships, affiliate programs, merchandise, and other means. Okay? Sponsorships, which on Twitch show up in the form of streams where gamers are paid to play specific games. They can earn them anywhere from 1 cent to $1 per viewer per hour. But there are other methods of bringing in cash. Let's take a look at YouTube. A sponsored YouTube video, which is around $5,000 for a 30-second ad, or a live appearance by a particular streamer, anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000. Those are two additional ways where streaming on YouTube can generate some significant revenue. Twitter and Instagram posts related to sponsored events are often bundled into the sponsorship package for free. Now let's take a look at the popular YouTuber Caleb Marshall, aka the Fitness Marshall. He made a video log, a vlog, talking about how much he's made in 4 years of doing YouTube. You can watch it, it's right there it's on YouTube. A much smaller time YouTuber showed how much he made in his first 1 million views. Now, the e-commerce app Selfie launched a tool that estimates how much money creators can make from YouTube ad revenue and from selling merch. I mean, is this a great world to live in or what? We've got an e-commerce app that any fledgling streamer can look at to see, is this something worth my while? Now, speaking of worth my while, let's move into chat widgets. Okay? A chat widget is a window on a website that allows visitors to have a connection with a person on a website in real time. We've seen those. You go to Twitch, it's what the right side of the screen is all about. Now, it usually pops up in the bottom right corner of a web page and prompts visitors to chat with a representative of the business. That's usually for any type of website, right? Now, guess what? There's live chat software for free available on the internet. The 12 best ones, free chat, HubSpot's free live chat. In other words, we have so evolved so quickly that you could put together your stream or your business and solicit live input from your customer, from your audience, and download a free live chat to get things started, okay? Now I want to talk about microtransactions, okay? Microtransactions are things that I love. They were originally popularized in MMORPGs, which stands for massively multiplayer online role-playing games, as well as popular FPS first-person shooters. Now, the cool thing about microtransactions, their impact, the aesthetic changes, their aesthetic changes that do not affect the player's power level in any way. In other words, change a character's appearances, weapon themes, various graphic additions, etc. Microtransactions may also directly affect gameplay. For example, making it easier for the player with purchased add-ons in the form of access to additional tasks, location, weapons, characters, equipment. What this is saying is that microtransactions can impact the viewer. Okay, they can impact the viewer, or they can directly impact the player. And so microtransactions go both ways. Microtransactions are available to the individual who's subscribing, who is playing the game on his or her own, or it can become extremely important for the person playing the game, him or herself. So it goes both ways. It'd almost be like saying that the baseball players can go to the concession stand and buy things just like the fans can. Of course, they can't, but in esports, they can. So let's focus more on microtransactions. The availability of content for purchase in video games is increasingly common. The adoption of in-game micro-spending and purchasable content in free-to-play models has proven lucrative and effective, and is possibly setting the standard for the future of gaming. Now, this is going to blow your minds, okay? Microtransactions are what keep free-to-play games not only alive, but rolling in dough, okay? And this is one of the most incredible things about esports and gaming in general, is that free-to-play games generate more money than pay-to-play games. Let's look at a notorious example. Fortnite. Fortnite is notorious for getting its players to spend money. This survey found the average Fortnite gamer spending around $82 in the past year on microtransactions and downloadable content. All right, let that sink in. The average Fortnite gamer playing a free-to-play game spends around $82 per year on microtransactions and downloadable content. Now, 62% of respondents spent cash on expansion packs, making it the most popular piece of content. But the average expense here was only $56. But now half of gamers also spent money on skins, on wardrobe, and cosmetic upgrades, which cost significantly more, $75 on average. So you see here the brilliance, or you could say the deviousness, of free-to-play games. Now, currency was the most expensive at $98 per the average player, although only 36% of respondents purchased video game currency. Now, keep in mind, those of you that are gamers or aren't gamers, many games come with their own in-game currency. And that's what you need to use in order to buy things in that game. And very often you have to buy that currency. So of the most competitive games, League of Legends was the most likely to generate high yearly bills for players. Now, the average LOL gamer is spending $119 on downloadable content and microtransactions annually. GTA also collected an average of $117 from players, followed by Fortnite and Counter-Strike at $97. Now, those who did not play competitively spent far less on these games on average. But overall, League of Legends was the most expensive for gamers at $92, although men spent an average of $100 and women spent an average of $78. The most expensive game for women, interestingly enough, was Dota, right? Defense of the Ancients 2, which annually came in at a price tag of $110. Okay? Now, the most popular games, Call of Duty, GTA, Fortnite, Super Smash Brothers, Pokemon Go, they don't correspond necessarily to the games with the most microtransactions. For example, Super Smash Brothers, the 5th most played game, had the least players purchasing downloadable content. So again, you've got to be very careful at trying to make correlations here. Okay? Now, this is fascinating. 2019 Games Company microtransaction earnings. We're talking here about the publishers. Okay? Because when you're buying these things within a game, who are you buying them from? You're buying them from the publisher. Okay? We can see here that in 2019, the winner was NetEase. What is NetEase? A Chinese internet technology company providing online services centered on content, community, communication, and commerce. We're talking about close to $7 billion in microtransactions. Where? In China. Okay. Activision Blizzard came next at basically what? A little more than $3.4 billion earned from microtransactions. EA, $2.8 billion. Nexon, $2.26 billion. Nexon, for those of you that don't know, is a South Korean Japanese video game publisher that specializes in online games for PC and mobile. It maintains over 80 titles. But Nexon was founded in Seoul in 1994, but in 2005, the company moved its headquarters to Tokyo, which is when Japan realized that esports was really going to start taking over, really become a mover and shaker. So what did they do? They bought Korea's #1 company. But you can see here, Epic Games, $1.8 billion, Riot, $1.5 billion, Take-Two, $1.4 billion, Niantic, $894 million. All of this from microtransactions. This is significant, okay? Now, who's buying these things, okay? Those who play on a gaming console are buying 43% of this microtransactions. So the percentage of purchasing download content for gaming consoles was 85% on Fortnite, 80% Dota, 71% Hearthstone, 69%. But you can still see here that for those who play on a gaming console, buying downloadable content is very significant. Whereas computer, 35%, smartphone and tablet, 23%. And you'll notice the percentage who play each game, 31% are doing 85% of the downloadable content from Fortnite. Only 8% who play the game are generating all this money from Dota. So as MBA students, this is something you really would want to take a look at to figure out, gee, where should my company put product placement or banner ads or what have you, okay? Now, let's take a look at loot boxes. What is a loot box? A loot box is a virtual chest that you have to pay for. Duh. Now, a loot box includes improvements to the game. What's included in a loot box? Custom items, additional reinforcements or boosters. Now, in some games, loot boxes can significantly affect the gameplay balance in the same way as microtransactions can, like if you buy a new weapon or a new spell or what have you. Now, several administrations of justice have already drawn attention to this matter over the past few years. For example, in 2018, the Belgian Gambling Commission recognized loot boxes as a form of illegal gambling. What was the logic? Well, players counting on acquiring the desired item can fall into an infinite loop of spending much money on buying loot boxes until they get it, states the commission. Well, what does that sound like? That's called the lottery, okay? That's called, $20, $30, $50 scratch off, where there's a chance to earn some money there and how it could become addicting. Show me a state lottery ad that doesn't have a warning in there about, Gamblers Anonymous. So in Belgium, they viewed loot boxes as another form, basically, of soliciting addiction as you try to up your game. okay? Omni-channel hubs, I mentioned that before, I want to go into it. This refers to tying different channels together. For example, your social media and your website, all for the purpose of promotional experiences. Now, omni-channel distribution refers to the operational processes that allow customers to view, order, and receive goods and services through any channel smoothly. And through any channel means any platform smoothly. Right? The primary difference between omni-channel and multi-channel is as follows. Multi-channel means multiple channels of communication, with each of those channels requiring you to adapt your content to its specific operating system or requirements. Omni-channel, however, means an integrated approach between multiple channels and communication. Okay? Now, omni-channel is connected to encoding and transcoding. You'll notice when we talked about streaming, we said that it behooves you to have a PC or a setup that allows for encoding to occur immediately. That encoding is then transcoded based upon the platform. Now, for example, on YouTube, for example, when I'm done with this recording on Zoom, it will be uploaded to, first thing that will happen, it will be encoded by Zoom. I will then upload it to YouTube, which will transcode it immediately, not immediately, but soon, which will then allow you to access this content on your PC, on your laptop, on your tablet, on your phone, etc. That's the process. That's the process. Now, before we close, I want to talk about female gamers, okay? Female esports watchers. The female share among all watchers is going up, okay? Now, this goes to 18, right? 30.40% was the CAGR over this period. The reason we have trouble getting females involved, and I think in this class I've got one or two women, which I want to see more, is because deeper engagement remains a challenge, okay? In other words, the games themselves, the narratives themselves, the content is really not all that appealing to female gamers. And it's one of the things that we've got to do in the publishing industry to make these games much more appealing to a wider demographic. And I'm going to say to an audience that is in it for more than just shoot and kill and what have you. And we'll see here that at least back in 18, 35% of female gamers were on console. They were game players. 30.4% were watchers, but only 20.3% were really into esports leagues. I haven't been able to find a more update, but I'll have to do that. Okay, so this is what we want in esports. We want it to be a multi-diverse audience. We want everybody to get involved because it's so much fun. And from an MBA perspective, it is opening the door to new ways of revenue sharing that you're going to want to keep in mind as you move on to your industries. Okay? By the way, Twitch has generated a lot of negativity. Okay? A lot of negativity. And it's resulted in what's called hate raids, which I find stupid, but they're real, right? A hate raid occurs when a streamer is live and they receive an influx of bots following them and then spamming the same message in their chat box. This is usually, sadly to say, something racist, sexist, homophobic, or otherwise toxic. Raven, who streams under the name Rexed Raven, has been one of the main organizers of the boycott, and rightfully so. And she's like, you know what, Twitch, it's up to you to stop hate raids. And actually, it's had a major impact on Twitch. Okay. By the other same token, we talk about Gambling Anonymous. This also resulted in a day off Twitch, which was a way that a number of viewers bandied together to help take a stand against hate raids and Twitch's failure to protect the platform. So it was, you know what, boycotting. It was taking a day off from Twitch. And these were ways, in fact, that they were encouraging Twitch to respond. Okay, folks, that's it for Module 3, Week 3. Golly, we're almost halfway through the 7 weeks. I hope this is, I know I threw a lot at you, but we've got a lot to cover in a short period of time. So again, thank you very much. Great to have you here. I'm going to stop the share, and I'll see you next week. Oh, and I look forward to your submissions. Bye now.